Welcome back to LDB Games. I'm Lord Darthbawlz, and in this Raid Shadow Legends video, I'm going to show you how I beat Hard Fire Knight. Now, this dungeon is probably the hardest dungeon in this game. No question. And at this point, I'm not able to get to 20 yet. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't farm Hard Fire Knight if you can. So this is actually stage 6. So you can see he starts off with 18 shields, and you can see that I'm running a counterattack team. Now, there are 4 things you need to effectively beat this dungeon. You need multi-hit A1s, a counterattack or ally attack champion, you need turn meter reduction and damage. Now, turn meter reduction is where this battle gets a little different from the original dungeon, right? When you play this dungeon on normal, you need multi-hits, turn meter reduction, and damage. So, unlike the other hard dungeons, the strategy is actually the same, but where it differs is how you get your turn meter reduction, because this boss is immune to turn meter reduction effects. So where you get your turn meter reduction from is one of his other passives, and that passive has to do with the freeze debuff. So you can actually land a freeze debuff on the boss. This passive will remove it and instead reduce the boss's turn meter by 15%. So, the only way that you can reduce the turn meter of this boss is by landing a freeze on him. Now, here's where CRIODAN the Blue comes into play, because this epic from, I believe he's Shadowkin, his kit is built purely for this dungeon. He's got a triple hitter on the A1, okay? Multi-hit A1. Every hit on this A1 has a chance of placing a freeze. Boom, turn meter reduction. Awesome, right? His A2 is an AoE, helps with the waves. It's a double hitter, and each hit has a chance of placing a freeze. Again, multi-hit, turn meter reduction. Beautiful. His A3 actually has a turn meter fill with an increased speed. So no matter what he's doing in this fight, he's coming in useful. And so, and GNUT, oh, I meant to pause it there too, because GNUT, while everyone knows GNUT for his massive damage hit, right, his enemy max HP scaling, A3, he also has a nice little piece of utility on his A1. The 80% books to 100, right? Chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. We can't do that. But if the target's turn meter is not decreased, which it won't be, each hit has a 100% chance of placing a freeze debuff instead. So you're getting the 15% turn meter reduction on this A1, which is how you get more turns over the boss on hard. So this is a long fight. I haven't min-maxed this team yet because I'm still working on getting to 10. You'll see I'm about to go through the builds. These guys don't all have masteries, and GNUT is running very slow for this to work. So I'm going to let this run play out so I can get the gear and the points for it, and we'll head into the builds themselves. You can see GNUT came in with some nice chunk of damage there. This should be over relatively soon. And so there's the team, right? You can see Duchess, Valkyrie, CRIODAN, GNUT, and Hatter. Now, there are some replaceable champions in this, right? Valkyrie is one of the two best AoE counterattack champions. You can bring in Martyr here. You can also bring in ally attack champions. Farrakhan, Longbeard, both for Hatter and Valkyrie can be replacements. CRIODAN, GNUT is pretty much a requirement in this, and CRIODAN is, unless you have invested in Yakarl the Scourge. Yakarl. Because this guy also brings in freeze and multi-hitters. So he's basically the legendary version of... he's the legendary version of CRIODAN. So let's talk about CRIODAN, right? He's a support champion, and I went through his skills a little bit during the first run. The only thing I didn't show was his passive, where he gets a little bit of turn meter for each freeze debuff he places, which is kind of nice. He's one of the ones that doesn't have masteries. Keep that in mind. And then when it comes to his stats, I have him running fast with enough accuracy and sustain. That's pretty much it. The Fire Knight can hit pretty damn hard, so you do want some good effective HP. He could use a little bit more defense, but he's running 274 speed and 355 accuracy. You really want like 345, 350 minimum accuracy for this dungeon. My Valkyrie comes in as my counterattack. She also brings some really nice big shields with her counterattack, which is another way that she can protect my team and keep them alive. This passive doesn't ever have come into effect, and she's got a double hitter on the A1. That turn meter unfortunately doesn't come into play. For her stats, she's running 251. The boss runs 250. So when I ultimately complete this team, she'll be the slowest one, going just before the boss. She's built high accuracy because sometimes I bring her into arena. I would probably, if I stopped using her there, I'd probably reduce her accuracy and start dumping into damage, because she's got 5,000 defense, which is pretty sweet, so she can hit pretty hard for pretty much a utility champion. GNUT comes in as the big damage. Just to show you, she doesn't have her masteries either. Oh, and let's just talk about no mastery champions, because Hatter doesn't either. He's new to my account, which I really like him. He's got the increase the duration of all buffs on his A3. He's got the cheeky ally attack with the highest crit damage. With the Hex and Weaken on the A2. He's got a debuff spread with Hex on a double hitter. Also has the chance of stealing random buffs. He's just got so much utility. This heal is amazing. 20% heal every 10 turns you take. Plus every 6 turns taken by the enemies, the AoE True Fears. He really brings in so much utility. I have him in regen and perception just to help him stay alive. He's a little slow for my taste. I'd love to get him into the 250s. That's aspirational. Some pretty good effective HP here and enough accuracy to do the job. He's up towards 400 because I use him in Hydra. And I use Duchess in so many of my teams. I'll pin to her video up top if you want me to break down her kit. But here is her stats. High speed, high resistance, high effective HP. And she does have some masteries, just to show you there. But then GNUT, right? GNUT is the all-star of the show with this crazy utility. He's essentially built for Fire Knight as a champion, not my version of him. His kit is super targeted towards Fire Knight. Obviously any boss, but specifically Fire Knight. Now, I put Phantom Touch on him, just to talk about blessings for a second. I put Phantom Touch on him because, I don't know if you noticed, you might notice it in the runs that are in this video, but when Phantom Touch procs, it also ticks down the shield. So when he uses his A1 and Phantom Touch procs, it actually takes down 4 hits from the shield instead of 3, which is pretty sweet. Brimstone isn't really that effective. I use it on Hatter for Hydra. The only thing Brimstone brings to this fight is another tick down off the shield, since it actually can't do damage effectively. The only time it'll ever proc is when the shield's up, so it just takes 1 down. For CRIODAN, I have him running Survival Instinct. This is essentially it's kind of like the opposite of his passive. His passive, when he places a freeze, he gets turn meter. This blessing, when debuffs placed on him, he gets turn meter, which means the debuffs that the Fire Knight is placing will help him come back to his multi-hitter freeze landing skills, which is all you want out of him. That's what he's there for, right? But anyway, just to show you GNUT stats, I also have a guide to him, so I'll pin that up top. As long as he's got enough accuracy to do the job, he's good, but I really want him doing damage.